I am going to admit something that I think a lot of people don't want to admit, especially somebody who has done as many episodes as I have, but I like to tell the truth, and today is going to be no exception to that rule. Podcast Growth Nation, today for episode number 189, feeling lost doesn't mean you actually are. If you're watching this, I am at the new home. Studio is in the process of being built, so right now we have a little rinky-dink setup. If you're listening to this, it might be a little bit more echoey than normal. That's because the studio isn't fully set up, but it will improve as we go, I promise. Okay, so for those who don't know, maybe the newer listeners, I have another podcast called Next Level University. That's where all this started for me. And we just recorded episode 2335, I think. Something like that, 2,320 or 30 something. And you might think, okay, at this point, you must have it locked down. You must have so much clarity. You must know exactly who you're talking to, all of that stuff. And every couple months, we go through this phase where we question everything. And we are in one of those phases right now, where we're questioning who is our audience. And we know a lot of our community, but this is an interesting thing. You hear me talk about this all the time, the importance of building a community, right? When you build a community, then you get people to self-identify, and then you get to talk to these people and you get feedback, and people tell you what they like and they tell you what they don't like and all that. The problem is the closer somebody gets to you in the community, the harder it is to actually use their feedback. So a lot of Alan's clients, most of Alan's coaching clients listen to our podcast and they give feedback. But the problem is most of our audience is not coached by Alan. So it makes things wonky. Just like if you're a client of mine and you listen to the show and you give me feedback, I can't just take that feedback as truth because the vast majority, 99.999% of the audience that listens doesn't work directly with me. So that actually complicates things in some ways. Because you start working with a certain individual, but you have different individuals, different avatars, different demographics and psychographics that are listening to the show. My goal in today's episode is just to vulnerably share that even though I've been doing this for coming up on 9 years and I have thousands of episodes under my belt, every couple months we are questioning everything. Everything. Right now, this artwork needs to get redesigned. The thumbnails are going to get redesigned. The intro and the outro are going to get redone. For the other podcast, Next Level University, same thing. It's going to be a new intro, new artwork, new outro, everything. Because things have changed. And I think we fall into this pattern of thinking the way we start is the way we have to finish. And you're going to change as a human being. Everything about you is going to change. And if your personality is on your podcast, if your expertise is on your podcast, you're going to learn more, so things are going to change. And when you do this for long enough, I think you get to the point where you realize that changes are not failures, they're just a requirement. And that's the phase we're going through right now. Even the studio is a really good example. This is not optimal. I know there's going to be a little bit of an echo. I know my video, it's okay, it looks okay, but it's just a blank wall with some lights behind me. It's not optimal, but sometimes I think going backwards is actually still going forward. It just doesn't feel like it necessarily. If you're revisiting who is my audience, that's probably a good problem because that means you've thought about it before. I feel much more confident in saying I would bet on that person rather than somebody who says in the beginning, this is exactly who my audience is and never revisits that. I think that's a good way to go off the rails. I think it's important to revisit and question and re-question and continue questioning and then go back to the drawing board. And I don't know. I think it's really easy to see people doing things and assume they know exactly what they're doing all the time and they never question anything. I'm here to tell you that that is not the truth. Do you have bouts of that? Sure. But as the more you grow, the more that changes. And then the more that you reflect on, you realize that needs to be changed. And we're going through that right now. Our Facebook groups need to be changed. Like there's so many things that need to be changed. And I know that's par for the course, and I know that's a good thing. I know there's a lot of people that they do their intro once and they do their outro once, and They do their artwork once and it never changes again. Now, I'm not saying you have to change it, but you're probably better 100 episodes in than you were at the beginning. I'm willing to bet, right? Doesn't hurt to change it. It doesn't hurt to change your artwork, really. Especially with the understanding that you're most likely going to be better now. You're most likely going to have an opportunity to make better artwork. You're most likely going to understand your audience better now. That's the thing. Well, I don't remember the name, some psychological thing. The more you know about something, the less you think you know about something. I can't remember it. It's one of those things I just can't remember for the life of me. There's certain words and certain phrases and labels that just leave my brain. Oh my God, it popped into my head. Dunning-Kruger effect, I believe is what it is. And I'm pretty sure the Dunning-Kruger effect is when you don't know anything, you're like overly confident in how much you know, but you eventually get to a point where you know the thing very, very well that you understand you don't know it very, very well because there's so much more to know. And I think that's kind of a good place to be. That means if you've been doing this for a year and you're re-questioning, who's my audience? Who's my audience? That's great. I think that's great. If you are thinking about changing your intro or your outro or whatever, I think that's great. Now, I'm not saying just to do it. I'm not saying that's going to be the thing that launches you into the atmosphere. I'm not saying that. But I think a lot of us are afraid to change because staying the same feels certain. But if you stay the same and the same is incorrect, then you're just going to be incorrect for longer. If you're willing to change and test things, you might see something that works that you want to do more of. You might do something that works that you don't want to do more of. There are certain things that we do with clients that I just don't want to do, right? It's totally good for the clients. It's not anything bad. It's just not the way I want to do it. I know how to do it. I just don't want to do it. It's just not what I want to do. It's not what I decided to do. It's not what I signed up to do. That's a little bit different. But yeah, the simplest point in today's episode is I think it's easy to get in our own heads and it's easy to assume, oh my goodness, I either know everything or I know nothing. And neither of those are ever true. Ever, 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 ever. And as somebody who has thousands of episodes, I think I'm up to 3,700 or something in between my podcasts and other podcasts. And that's a lot of episodes. But eventually you get to a certain point where, I don't know, I might be questioning more now than I was in the past. I'm certain, actually. I am questioning more now than I ever have in this entire process. And I think because you get to a certain point where you've done this long enough that you realize everything I learned this year already, 2 months in, I didn't know. There's way more of that out there. So this is the permission slip that maybe you feel like you need. I don't think you do, but maybe you feel like you need to say, look, I don't really know anymore. I feel like maybe I've lost sight or I've lost track or I've lost perspective or I've lost context. This is totally normal. And the only wrong answer is to do nothing. Now you can start. One of the things you can do is you can reach back out to people who you know used to listen and check in. That's a great thing. For us, we had a very interesting win recently where so every year we have a WhatsApp group called the Next Level Fitness Accountability Group. And every year we do a 10 pound in 10 week weight loss challenge. So Alan and I sign up. We're going to lose 10 pounds in 10 weeks. We're going to be in there every day. We're going to lead the group. And our community, you are happy to join if you want to do 10 pounds in 10 weeks, if you want to do 5 pounds in 5 weeks, if you want to do 10 pounds in 10 weeks, 5 pounds in 10 weeks, 1 pound in 10 weeks, whatever. Or if you want to gain weight, whatever, come join us and we'll do it together. That was a very big surprise win for us because a lot of people that I didn't know listened reached out to me directly or reached out to Alan directly and said, hey, I'd love to join this. That to me is showing me that maybe the audience is more next level than I thought. It takes a certain level of self-belief and it takes a certain level of accountability to want to be part of a fitness group. And in the beginning, I don't think that would have been the case. So that has me questioning things. We started another round of the Next Level Podcast Accelerator, last month. And there's people in this group that are like really crushing it before even taking it. Like there's people that are doing really well. And that's a new level of people. That's a new caliber of person. So, okay, what does that change? Does that mean I want to be more tactical here? Does that mean should I do industry updates more? Like, that makes me question things. I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't think that's a bad thing. If you ever like really enjoyed a restaurant and they just forgot who they were and never tried to re-find it, I'm sure you probably don't like them anymore. Probably don't like that restaurant anymore. But I'm okay with a restaurant that experiments and tries different stuff. And I'm okay if the experience isn't great, as long as I know they're working on it, right? I think that's kind of human nature. I think that's kind of human nature. But I also think it's human nature to say, I know everything or I know nothing. And neither of those are true. Neither of those are true. So yeah, this is the gentle reminder, the gentle permission slip, whatever label you want to use, that if you are out there right now and you feel like you have no idea what you're doing, even though you think you should, and when I say you have no idea, I'm saying it feels like you have no idea. You do have an idea, it just doesn't feel like it. You're not alone, and honestly, you're probably in a better space than you think, because that means you're thinking about this. And then you can start to figure out, what do you do? So we're getting artwork redone for NLU. We're working on the website for NLU, small stuff. We're not going to have the website done today, but we can have a couple things changed. We're always working on our Podmatch and Matchmaker profiles, always. That's always a work in progress, because we change all the time. Right? And we go in there and update, okay, it's 3,300 episodes. Now it's going to be 3,400, however many episodes. 2,300 episodes for NLU. Then it's going to be 2,400 episodes. Then it's going to be 2,500. We keep changing that, right? That's always changing. I don't think there's anybody out there who just did the same thing without changing it. Now, this is the thing that makes it really hard. You might not, from the outside, recognize the change. So let's say I make a change in the way I do certain types of content here. If I don't mention it, you might not notice. So you might just say, well, Kevin's been doing the same thing for 189 episodes, and he knows exactly who he's talking to, but you don't know that maybe I'm changing stuff internally. So it doesn't look like I don't know what I'm doing. That nobody really talks about this, because I think we assume you're supposed to know. And you are. And you know more than you ever have, but you also know how much there is to know. And that's a weird thing. Google the Dunning-Kruger effect. I'm pretty sure that is this in a nutshell. But permission to not know, to feel like you used to know better, you used to know more. It's totally normal. Totally normal. When I started the Hyperconscious podcast, then Alan and I partnered up I started in 2017, we partnered in 2018. Our audience was women. And I think a lot of that was based on Alan and I having low self-worth and just being vulnerable. And I don't think we were, I think we were a breath of fresh air for women when it came to masculine men talking about things in a non-toxic way. Now, when I listen back, I had a ton of ego, for sure, because I didn't really know what I was doing, and I thought I had to seem confident, so that's a whole thing. But that's where this started. And then we kept checking in on that. Okay, makes sense. And then eventually it started to shift a little bit. And it wasn't, we're just talking to women, it was, we're talking to high performers. We're talking to dream chasers. We're talking to people who really, really want to go outside the realm of normalcy. It doesn't mean they're going to be an entrepreneur. It doesn't mean they're going to start a business, but they want more. They want more out of life. They're aspirational. They're ambitious. And it's not just women. We have a lot of men in the community now. Okay, how does that change us? What does that mean? Is that something we did to attract men, or should we do something now to attract more men? It's always an equation, and the equation is always changing. It's always evolving. I can't really give any better examples because I'm not a math guy. I'm not very good at math, but it's always evolving and it's always changing. So this is the permission slip. I know maybe another weird episode, but I don't know. I like to share what I'm going through because that's where this whole thing started. And maybe, I don't know, maybe at times it's a bad look. Like, oh my goodness, I thought you had it all figured out. I do not have it all figured out. And if I ever tell you I do have it all figured out, I am most likely incorrect. I won't say lying because I don't mean to say it that way, but I'm always figuring it out. And you are too. And that is just the way this whole thing goes. All right, friends, if you're struggling with this and you need a shoulder, you need a perspective, you need guidance, whatever it is, you can DM me, you can email me, we can do a free 30-minute podcast breakthrough session, whatever. Just connect with me. I'm happy to answer any questions you have, anything I can do to add value. Email's great. It's easy. You can remain anonymous, fire over as many questions as you got. I'm happy to answer them. I'll most likely send you an audio back. Or who knows, I could do an episode on it. So if you're struggling with something and you want me to do an episode on it, send it on over. I would be happy to do it. Podcast Growth Nation, our private Facebook group, again, will be getting redesigned. We're kind of in the process of that, but we would love to have you if you're looking for a group of other like-minded, ambitious podcasters. And I just hope that if you're comparing to you. And it's really hard to compare to other people because you don't know what other people are thinking. That is the weird thing. You might know what they look like. You might be able to see, quote unquote, what they have. You don't know what they're thinking. And isn't that really the most important thing at the end of the day? Whether we like it or not, whether we know it or not. So that is what I hope for you. I hope if you're comparing apples to apples, not apples to apple pie. All right, as always, keep on crushing it. Keep on podcasting. And I will talk to you all next week.